The Jolly Blonde Giant. If that sounds familiar to some of you, it should. It was my icebreaker title, and I resurrected it because this story fits. So we're talking about superpowers today. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Today, I'd like to take you through the early years. Unprofessional, a little bit selfish Kay early in her career. I'd like to talk on a serious note about a near-death experience I had at a client meeting. And lastly, over the years, what I've come to found to be my true superpower. If that sounds interesting, can I get a wave? Nod? Excellent. Oh, the early years. This comes with a warning. I had not been to school yet. I have not been to Toastmasters yet. I was emotionally a little bit unintelligent and still kind of learning the ropes of business. Back then, I got paid a lot of money to go to client parties and promote. What do you think my mindset was back then? What do you think my superpower was? What do you think I thought my superpower was? I'm going to call on Warren if you'll unmute yourself, because I believe you were at my personal branding speech and there was a clue in there.
You're really stretching the old memory thing here. My guess is your superpower was your overall impression, and that you are tall and attractive and have a strong voice. So my guess is that's your superpower. You knock them over before they even have a chance to think about it.
Thank you, Warren. You may mute yourself. You are so close as overall impression. I thought back then it was my shoes. Back then, shamelessly, I had over 100 pair of red shoes probably, but this pair cost $400. Can you believe it? That was probably a whole week of my salary back then. And Warren was right. I grew up under the Tony Robbins methodology of be a big personality, be the biggest person in the room and you'll win clients. So I thought, hey, I'm 5'10", some 3-inch red heels to do the trick, right? Remember the price, $400. This will become apparent why it's important later. Now I'm going to switch over to a true story. I had a near-death experience at a client meeting. Some of you were at my speech where I talked about Mei Chen. She was my first big girl job. She gave me a job that eventually led into a national sales trainer, but this instance, I'd only been with Mei maybe a month, and her executive assistant had called out sick. And Mei was from China. She had very broken English. So she was so excited because she got a distributor meeting with CDW, one of the largest distributors in the nation. And she took a year and a half to get this meeting. So her assistant's sick and she said, Kelly, will you please come? I know it's not your job. You don't have to speak. I just need you to take notes, but field any questions for me if I don't understand the English. I said, great, this will be my chance to impress Mei. And then she says, but make sure you dress to impress. These are very important people. And I'm thinking, yes, I have a $400 pair of red shoes. Now I'm going to go to Macy's and buy a $400 suit I can't afford, and I am going to be ready. So what do you think happens? Murphy's Law. How many of you know about Murphy's Law? It states if something can go wrong, oh, it will. So I've got the address, right? I'm getting ready. It's 5:30 in the morning. I have to drive to LA. I'm living in Southern California at the time. So a 20-minute drive could literally take 2 hours. All of a sudden, the phone rings. Guess who it is? It's Mei. The boss is calling in sick the day of the meeting. I take the call and Mei's like, Kelly, you have to go to the meeting. I got what the assistant had. I'm deathly ill and I'm contagious. I'm like, well, okay, let's just cancel it, Mei. No, they're en route. You have to drive to LA and don't come home without a meeting. You have to get a new meeting date. And I'm like, okay, no pressure. So I, forget doing the makeup all the way. I just get in the car. I've got to get there early. So the address said 2-105. Well, how many of you remember those beautiful, they were like arboretum style buildings with big stone steps and glass and trees. So I'm walking through this second floor and there's trees all over, so I can't see the numbers. There's no directory. And then now I'm 10 minutes late. I'm panicking. The assistant from the other CEO calls and says, Kelly, where are you guys? And I'm like, well, I'm at 2-105, but I don't see it up here. And he goes, oh my gosh, I don't know why it says that. We're 105 downstairs, around the back. Get to the stairs and I'll meet you there. Okay, no problem. What happens? Murphy's Law strikes a second time. I literally take 3 steps off these stairs and my heel sticks on the 3rd step. And do I turn and slide gracefully down my tushy? Oh no. I go flying head first down the stairs, hurling at this gorgeous man. All of a sudden, I think I blacked out for a second, literally, because I hear people saying, call 911, she needs an emergency. And so that wakes me up. Well, what do you think Selfish K does? Are my shoes okay? They're $400. And then I realize where I'm at. And this man is leaning over me and he goes to scoop me up. And now I just start laughing hysterically because this man is literally 5 feet tall. I look at him and say, sugar, please, if you try to pick me up, we are both going to the hospital. So he says, okay, what can I do? I said, just get me in that room and get me another meeting. And he said, okay, I'll do all the talking. Just, they're going to look at you and you're going to be excused. I said, okay, right. So we get in there and do I listen to him? Oh no, Murphy's Law number 3. I start ugly crying. There is mascara everywhere. There is snot. I am ruining his handkerchief. And the man comes up to me and he goes, what can I do? And I go, give me a meeting because May's going to fire me and I can't afford my shoes. And he just looked at me, dead serious. I forget what I'm saying, totally not being professional. And the gracious man gives me a meeting, writes it down in paper and says, now can we take you to emergency? And I said, yes, thank you. So what I've come to realize is over the years, my superpower is really humor. People will say it's empathy because I am a cancer survivor, but I always lean to humor to break the ice. And for instance, in this picture, the only one that was taken at Halloween was the upper right-hand corner. I will show up to my husband's work at UPS like a UPS zombie. I will show up to parties like Santa Claus. And do I embarrass myself? Yes, often. Do I get embarrassed and have people talked about me? All the time. But you know what I realized? Our superpowers are not showing off. It's about showing up. Show up as your full expression. Whether you're gregarious and funny like me, or you're quiet and empathetic, be your full self. And you know what? The superpower you think you have that everyone says you're so great at, they may not be your best one. It's that quiet one that makes us uncomfortable. And when we lean into it, great things happen. So ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to take a list of your superpowers and lean into the ones that make you uncomfortable. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.